Are you guys familiar with Gosnell?
Yes, I am.
You are familiar. Gosnell was an abortion doctor, and he lived in Philadelphia. He's in prison now, but he lived in Philadelphia, and for 30 years, his job was to get up and go to work and kill the unborn child, perform abortions. And some of the babies came out alive. They were babies because some of them were like 9 months or so, about to be born. And he would perform these abortions on these babies. And so when they come out as full babies, they were alive, and he would take a sharp instrument and stab them in the back of their necks and kill them. And for 30 years he did this. He also cut off their feet and put them in jars and saved the feet of the babies. So when the police went in and they saw this stuff, they saw these jars of aborted baby feet. He had a thing with feet. He had a young girl, anesthesiologist, who would put the ladies to sleep before the abortion, and she was 15 years old, according to the story. And the way and she knew nothing about anesthesiology, right? She hadn't gone to school for it, apparently. But what she would do is she would color code the medication, because some women need some different types of medication than others. And so she learned it by color coding it. This woman needs this, and this woman, so she didn't really. But when she was at the office, during the time that this guy was performing these abortions, nobody died, Well, at least the mother didn't die, the woman didn't die. But it's been reported that whenever she wasn't there, and they had some other person to come in to give the anesthesiologist, some of the women died from that, whenever this 15-year-old girl was out. But it was interesting that the local media there, or national media, did not report this at all. And this was a trial going on. 30 years of performing abortion, and then some of these babies are born alive, and he would take, as I said, a sharp instrument, stab them in the back of the neck, and kill them. Isn't that amazing? And this is happening all the time, but we're just not hearing anything about it because the media, liberal media, is refusing to report on abortions anymore. If you think about it, you don't hear a lot about abortions anymore in the media, unless a conservative person have gone undercover and found something. But for the most part, you don't hear about abortions. And it's because the liberal media support abortion. Over at least 1 million or more, and I'm being told that abortions are, James, you were telling me that it was going down, right?
Yeah, it's gone down to, I think it's below 1 million per year.
In the black community, you say it went down as well?
Yeah.
Even though 70% of Planned Parenthood abortion mills in the inner cities. How do you know it's gone down? Where do you get that from?
It's according to Guttmacher Institute, which isn't either, it isn't really conservative, but it's like something that one of those organizations that studies it.
Yeah. Anything else I'm leaving out about this Gosnell guy?
Well, the way
you remember?
Just the way that he was caught, he was basically selling OxyContin prescription drugs to people, illegally, of course. And
apparently, the man is in prison now, but apparently he doesn't feel anything about it. Didn't they say that?
Right.
He think that he was doing God's job or something. Something like that.
Yeah.
Did you remember that? Did she say something?
I know that for sure that he felt like he felt no remorse or anything, and he was just a charming guy, all into like what the prison would allow him to do, like get into. He was mad that he wasn't allowed into poetry class,
right?
And he was just doing all kinds of things. Prison is very cushy, apparently, but
he made a lot of money from this. And he has no guilt. Matter of fact, Phillum, I believe that's his name, Phillum, said that when he went to investigate this man, he and his wife went there to investigate him. The guy was so nice, just a nice black old man. And he asked for Phil's phone number or something. And so he gave him his cell number. And so this Dr. Gosnell, he called up Philip anytime he went, hey, how you doing? Oh, got any more babies you want on board? But the guy has no guilt about it at all. After 30 years of doing this, killing human beings like that, it's mind-blowing. But I recommend the book, the Gosnell book. And if you don't like reading, then be patient. The movie's coming out. And I hear that it's a great, great movie. One of the best we've seen for a while. So abortion is not good, I'm telling you. We also met the guy that went undercover. And I don't remember his name, but he went undercover to expose Planned Parenthood, who was taking aborted babies and selling the body parts for a profit. A young guy was doing that. Apparently, our government now, under President Trump, is not going to be using our tax dollars to pay for abortions anymore. I think that's one of his executive orders. Yeah. It's about time. The Gosnell, Gosnell movie. I don't know when it's coming out, but keep your eyes and ears open for it. Abortion needs to end. I remember when President Obama became president, the first thing he did in the first month that he was in the White House was to restore abortion in foreign nations, whereas we started back paying for them. President Trump, not President Trump, but President Bill Clinton and George Bush did not pay for abortion in foreign countries.
I think Clinton did.
Clinton did?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
What I read is Reagan instituted this ban, moratorium on paying for abortions overseas, and Clinton reversed it.
Oh, okay.
The Bushes kept it, but the
Okay.
Clinton and Obama reversed it.
So that's what you have with abortions. Anybody here ever had an abortion? Gee, have you ever paid for a woman to have an abortion?
No.
Doesn't G look like he paid for a woman to have an
No
abortion?
way. I had a girlfriend that I was dating for like a year, and then it just came to mind. I was like, hey, have you ever had an abortion? And she said she had 3, and that really changed the whole game for me.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I gotta go.
Yeah. No, it's a horrible thing, but a lot of these women are being lied to by Planned Parenthood and others that it's not a baby. You know, don't mess up your life. You got to get a career. You need to get educated, and it's really not a baby, so it's not a big deal. So they believed into that lie. All right. Any questions? So we did this YouTube video on this week. If Jesus had anger, did Jesus? Well, I say Jesus. What did I say? I asked a good friend, do you believe that Jesus was angry? And this friend, a Christian, homegrown Christian, they paused for a while. They're like, wow. They didn't know for sure what they thought about it. And so I thought what I would do is ask you guys, how many here are convinced that Jesus did not have anger? You're convinced. Interesting. Right here, why are you convinced that Jesus did not have anger?
Because he always was that kind. He taught with kindness, and every time they ask him these quick or trick questions and stuff, he would have the answers for it. And it doesn't come from a state of anger, but the calmness and kindness, the way he would speak to people.
But how about when he turned over the money changers' tables?
It's his assertiveness, but doesn't necessarily mean he was going nuts or he was emotional about it. He just expressed that we're not going to tolerate this at church, and probably showed a little his serious side, how serious he is about it. But it doesn't mean he was going nuts or anything.
Is it possible to be assertive without anger?
Yes.
And why do you believe that?
Well, I think like when you're assertive without anger, your message goes through even stronger.
Right.
Because
Do
when
you have
when-
anger?
Huh?
Do you have anger?
I catch it every now and then.
You
myself,
catch it?
I catch myself angry every now and then.
So do you have anger?
Yes.
You do. And you have it, but you believe Jesus did not have it?
Yes.
Do you believe that because someone said it? Or what is causing you to believe that?
When I read the Bible, I never see any side of him that shows he's angry or anything.
But, I got several emails or responses from people on the YouTube that who are disagreeing with me, saying that Jesus did have anger, and they gave us scriptures to prove that.
No, I mean, when you read his words, his teachings and everything, you know how you sometimes read a book and you can tell in what spirit the person is acting on?
Right.
You always see a kindness, patience in Jesus, and you never see, anger. You can imagine, you read the Johns, and then how he was questioned, how he answered, what he thought. You don't sense any anger behind it. And about the part that turning tables, it just made it seem like him his business.
Oh, okay. Why not let your anger go if you believe that you can overcome it?
I mean, as soon as I notice it, it just goes away. It evaporates kind of. But every now and then it will pop up. But I will not act on it. I usually wait till it's gone for me to act. But every now and then I will still see it.
Yeah. And define, what do you mean I would not act on it?
Say I got angry at something and I want to speak up about it.
Right.
When that angry spirit is in me, I know I'm going to make things worse. So I don't even act on it. I wait till it's away, so I'm more reasonable, more logical when I express it.
That is so interesting. Isn't it like interesting what he said? It's mind-blowing. I'll tell you in a minute. So you believe Jesus was not angry?
I listened to your radio show on this topic, and I heard your reasoning, or I heard other people's reasoning of him flipping the table. And I still don't feel that came from a place of anger. And just
I'm sorry?
I don't feel that came from a place of anger. From what you were just saying earlier, can you be assertive without being angry? I feel I can be assertive without being angry or being in a state of anger.
Right. Do you have anger?
I do.
And why not overcome it?
I try to overcome it. I sense it. I feel it. But I do not act on it, and that's my way of overcoming it.
Oh, okay.
But it still appears, it still comes, and that I'm trying to work on.
And define what you mean by you don't act on it.
I'll have thoughts of anger, negative thoughts. I can communicate those thoughts, or I can stop myself. And I'm seeing myself over these last few months, stopping myself and not communicating those negative, angry thoughts.
So you can control anger?
I feel more in control of my anger.
Oh, okay. And why not overcome it? Why not let it go completely?
It's tough.
It's tough?
It's very tough.
What's tough about letting it go?
What's tough?
This is so interesting.
I'm noticing I don't act on my anger, but I notice it. And you're saying not to have it even come in, but that is very tough for me. It's still appearing in me.
Do you know how to overcome it completely?
I do.
How do you overcome it completely?
To forgive.
And are you refusing to forgive?
I'm not refusing.
But why don't you forgive?
I'm just finding the right time.
You find the right time?
Yes.
Now is the right time. Because this is all the time you have.
Yes.
So you've had chances to forgive, but
No, I haven't had the chance that I wanted.
Oh, you haven't had a chance?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
This person says that it is impossible to know 100% if Jesus has ever felt anger.
Why is it impossible?
It's going to be very tough to hold a conversation over chat.
Ask that person, why is it impossible to know that? Oh, person, why is it impossible to know if Jesus had anger or not? You believe Jesus had anger?
No, I do not.
And why do you believe he did not have it?
Because Jesus was all love all the time. And there is no love in anger.
And how do you know that? Do you have anger?
Similar to them. It comes and I don't act upon it.
But you do have it, you just don't act.
Correct. I mean, I act sometimes. I say some things I shouldn't say.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of that, last Sunday you talked about men should not be getting married, right?
I was saying that the government and the laws discriminate against men, and because of that, we have a very bad result down the road.
Oh, okay. But did you? And I may have missed it, but didn't you recommend that someone not get married because of that?
No, I was asking you, at what point do we consider the world? When I'm talking to a friend of mine, he's saying, I want to get married.
Right.
I don't know if I should encourage him.
Oh, I see.
I don't know if I should discourage him.
But you had told this person not to get married, right?
No, I was just overreacting to people and understanding my question.
Oh, the people here?
Yeah, yeah.
And so your anger got in the way.
Right.
And so did you have a conversation with that person anymore after Sunday about that?
No,
Oh,
no.
okay.
It wasn't even a person. It was just like you said. Does anyone have any questions? And I said
see.
yes.
Okay.
I don't know. Please.
So you got angry last Sunday when people were like questioning you about that?
I mean, if that's your standard of anger, I get angry every day.
No, you said you were reacting to them.
I said I overreacted. I say some things I shouldn't say.
Oh, okay. Why don't you overcome your anger completely?
I don't have an answer for that. I can't tell you why I don't.
Oh, okay. Do you know how?
No.
Oh, okay. Good. We're going to tell you how. One thing I want to say to you guys and ladies, I want y'all to get married. One thing that Bond is doing is rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. And the reason we are rebuilding men is because women need men. We're not doing this so you don't get, not that you were saying no, I understand. You weren't saying not to get married. But you guys understand you need, and ladies, that you need to get married, right? But so you guys need wives and children what did Jesus say? Replenish the earth. And women need good men. They need men who love what's right more than anything else. So that when you do get married, you don't need her love, and that way the marriage will last forever. So make sure you guys get married, yes. And then don't worry about the law. You can sign an annulment thing.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
That doesn't work?
No, it doesn't. I wanted to make a comment, though. The person on YouTube said you can't 100% know. What? That's just a leftist tactic. They framed the question. Because now it's your job to say with 100% certitude that you know.
Well,
and all they have to do is say, it's not 100%, so I win. It's the same thing with abortion. It's like, do you believe in a woman's right to choose? Obviously, if you say, I don't believe in a woman's right to choose, you sound like some discriminating, sexist, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But you can just say, I don't believe in taking a person's life to, make it more convenient for someone.
But when someone is asking you, do you believe in a woman's right to choose, it's a dumb question.
Correct.
Because
that's the same thing with the 100%.
A woman doesn't have a right to kill another soul. It's not her body that she's killing.
I agree with you.
It's another human being that she's killing. So she doesn't have the right. We're not talking. If she want to take her body and just hurt herself, she can do that, But she's taking the life of another human being.
Totally
so it's
in
really
agreement.
a dumb question if a woman has a right to choose. And you're right, that's the first thing they throw on you.
They frame the questions and say, let's play under these rules.
Right. That's right. I totally agree. Right here, you have anger?
Yes, but it's weird. Like, I feel like I let it go, but it just fills back up sometimes.
You let it go and it come back.
Yeah.
And how do you let it go?
I try to forgive.
You try to
But
forgive?
then, like, I don't know, it's something like I'll remember it, and it still kind of like makes me mad.
Right. And what do you control it when it comes up, or you just let it out? You go
No,
with
I
it.
just hold it.
How did your situation turn out?
It's been good. It's been all right. Actually, right now, like, I don't know. I've been talking about like my girl like this whole time, like on the ride up here.
It took you 2 hours to get here, right?
Yeah, 2 hours.
And you talked about her for 2 hours?
Yeah, because I have a situation right now. I'll tell you one-on-one. I'd rather just do it one-on-one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are you learning anything from it? about yourself?
Yeah.
And what are you learning about yourself from it? And you're right, you don't need to go into the whole thing in the public like this, but what are you learning about yourself going through this?
That I need to learn how to like not be emotional.
Okay.
No.
All right. So do you believe Jesus had anger?
No.
You don't believe that? Why not?
Because he was all love.
All right. Yes, James. James got somebody online. This is good.
The person responded. He said,
Hey, Raymond, if you're going to take a nap, you should sit on the back row. He like this.
okay, this person responded to your question. He said, if it was God's son in human form, he must have felt human emotions, feelings, pain. Just his opinion.
Just what?
His humble opinion.
Oh, okay. No, I appreciate it. I just wonder where do you get that from, but I do appreciate the question or the statement. And I'm going to tell you how it is possible to know for sure. I just wanted to know what was that person thinking.
I also think that Jesus didn't only preach, he was an example.
Right.
So if he was preaching against anger, that is not a good thing to have, I'm pretty sure God sent him in a way without an anger so he could set an example, because he wasn't known as preaching something but practicing something else.
Yeah.
So he did speak against anger or evil, and he was a walking example for people, and so he couldn't have an anger.
Yes, way back in the red shirt.
I've heard you say in the past that you can't have you can't have both anger and love in the same. They can't dwell in the same space, right?
Right.
So how is it that, let's say I'm thinking about something, right? And I can see the anger, my mind is playing on it, the anger is welling up. But I noticed the other day, the minute I watched it, that thing just disappeared. It literally just fled.
Right.
So what is making it flee? You can't have good and bad or good and evil dwelling in the same place.
The fact that you are aware of it and the light that's shining on it is from God. And when the light shines on the darkness, it has no power over you at all. But once you overcome it, it's not even an issue anymore. But God just, because he loves you and the kingdom of heaven is in us, he allows you to see what's going on. And as you watch it, you also destroy the darkness. You believe Jesus had anger?
I don't.
And why don't you believe that?
Because nothing would really make sense about his life and its impact if he had anger. I think that there are a lot of people out there who do so-called good things with the motivation of anger, like a vengeance or something.
Right.
But that's then not a good action. And if Jesus did what he did out of anger, then to me, nothing makes sense and his life loses the meaning that it had.
How about those scriptures that some people, especially on this particular topic, well-meaning people, good Christians, are pointed out, well, according to these scriptures, it's saying that Jesus has anger or had anger. You have some of those scriptures, right?
In the book of Mark, he looked around at Pharisees or somebody angry, and he was grieved at their hardness of heart.
That's a proof that he has anger? Because he grieved?
No. Mark, who was one of the disciples, I think, wrote that Jesus looked around at them in anger.
Oh, I see.
Looked around at these people in
and
anger.
And then he grieved. He started crying.
At their hardness of heart. I didn't say cry.
Oh, grieved me was sadness about it.
Yes.
What do you have?
Mark chapter 3, verse 4, he says, Then Jesus asked them, Is it permitted on the Sabbath to do good or to do evil, to save a life or to kill? But they said nothing. Then he looked angrily round at them, grieved to find them so obstinate, and said to the man, Stretch out your hand. He stretched it out, and his hand was restored. So Jesus, according to people who believe he was angry, healed the man with an angry spirit. So
that's a good point. It's amazing, too. Mark said that he looked around angrily at the people. But you can not have anger and look at somebody and give them the death look, but not feel anything about it. And you could be disappointed because I'm not sad, but it grieves me to see and hear people that listen to the truth for years and years and years and years and years and years and years, and then more years, and they never get past this stuff. And then they destroy everything around them, all in the name of Jesus. That's sad. I'm counseling with a young man right now by phone in another state, and this is the truth. And he has a young son, and his son doesn't want to be with him because the father has anger. You know, if the son should do something wrong, or the father, you know, find out about it, he goes off instead of dealing with the son with love. And if it's okay to have anger, why is anger so destructive? How come kids don't like their parents who have anger? If anger was good, the kids would be okay with it when you are mad at them. But it destroys a child's soul when the parents have anger. There's no love in anger. Zero love in anger. We don't even like people who have anger. You don't want your friends to have anger or your loved ones because it's hard to be around them. You say something they don't like or they don't understand, they go off just like that. The relationship is over. Anger doesn't work. Yes, sir, right here.
2 examples in the Bible. Michael, the archangel, was said to have cast Satan out of heaven. And when he did, it said of him that he railed no curse against him. He just said, "The Lord rebuke thee." So if Michael held his peace, dealing with the prince of evil, and Jesus is supposed to be greater than Michael, then how would Jesus fail to have anger against little people on the earth?
Yeah.
And then another case is where God was speaking to Satan face to face over Job. Remember that? Now, he just dealt with him straight up and gave him his marching orders and sent him on his way.
It's so unfortunate about this. And so many people, more people I didn't know how bad it was, this angry relationship with Christians and God, until I started talking about it. And I didn't know that Christians justify anger. Before I discovered that you can overcome anger, I don't remember liking anger. I didn't like people who had anger. I didn't like myself because I noticed that I'll be in control, because I had anger. People can make you feel good or they can make you feel bad. They can build you up. They can let you down. And it's because of your anger. How many people control their anger? You control it. Okay. How many again? I'm sorry. 2 now. How come the others are not raising your hand right now? So do you have anger?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
And why not let it go?
Because I'm still under the impression that it's justified when I feel enough pain.
I don't understand
It's my way to get away from pain. So
But
if I feel
anger is
uncomfortable,
pain.
embarrassed, those kind of things, and that causes a pain that I don't want to deal with, I don't want to sit and look at, then I get angry about it as a way to escape it.
I'm sorry.
It seems.
Repeat what you said.
Anger to me seems to be a response to run away from seeing myself, in other words.
So if someone is mean to you, you believe that anger is the best way to deal with that?
Well, and it rises up, it feels justified, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you believe it's justified?
No, not anymore. I mean, when I was more into it, yes.
Do you believe Jesus had anger?
No.
Why don't you believe that?
Because then he would be just like me, responding like a madman.
You believe you can overcome it?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Yes, sir.
I just think many Christians believe that the ones that say that Jesus was angry is because their standards are kind of low, they don't think it's possible to be without anger, without anger. They always like to use that quote, they all fell short from the glory of God, or they all sinned something. That's like their favorite. And should you believe that Jesus had anger, it doesn't make your anger look so bad. You're like, oh, Jesus had it, we're okay, you know? So it kind of, people like to believe it, so they don't look, their shortcomings are not exposed as badly.
But I don't know if people are consciously thinking that. Most Christians have been convinced that anger is fine, that you need anger. And I hear it a lot. When you need anger, you just have to control it and not let it go out of control. But anger is good. It's like you wouldn't be able to defend yourself if you didn't have the anger. That people would take advantage of you and misuse you if you don't have the anger. And it comes from being taught that. I think they just don't know. And that's why, and then people have used the scriptures to justify, especially the money chamber thing. They have used that to justify anger because they think that you can't take a strong action unless you are motivated by emotions. So that's why I don't know if and that might be true what you're saying, but I don't think most people know.
It does seem that sometimes you fight the hardest at your angriest, kind of.
Right. Yeah.
From my experience, sometimes the anger had to be motivated for me to take action.
Yeah.
And I might have looked back and say it wasn't such a bad thing, you know, the anger, because.
So you took action with anger, and then you thought about it later. You're like, wow, that wasn't so bad. I did well with that anger.
It's like sometimes you feel like the action is needed.
Right.
But there is not that pusher, so you just sit there. And then when it gets to a point where you're angry, you take action. You're like, man, you needed this anger in order for something to, you know, like kind of like push you forward.
I totally understand that. Because that's what Satan does. He causes you to react or overreact with anger, and then he come back and tell you, that was really good, buddy. And you believe it's you telling yourself that.
Right.
Right. One last thing. So do you have anger? Do you control your anger?
I don't control it. It either comes out or I'm able to overcome it for that moment.
You believe Jesus had anger?
I would say no.
You don't believe he did? Why not?
Because some of the stuff that people have said, and also because, you know, what I've noticed about like fighting, and some of the best fighters are taught to fight without anger. Because once they get into that emotion, it becomes like a personal thing, and they lose it. Even when I'm training people, the minute somebody starts missing, it's some sort of emotion that's in them. They're scared or something.
Yeah.
So I would say no.
So you don't control yours?
I used to, but I've given that up. It either comes out or it doesn't.
So if it came out while someone was treating you in a negative way, you just let them have it?
I mean, you know, sometimes you don't catch it right away. Sometimes it's already there, and you just got to do what you got to let it and come back and say sorry.
Oh, okay. How about Marilyn? Do you believe Jesus had anger?
No, I don't.
Why don't you believe that?
Same reason Martin believed it.
Oh, and do you have anger?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes?
Yeah.
And do you control it?
Yeah, sometimes.
And how do you control it?
By breathing, taking in deep breaths, and just not saying anything for a while. Just be in it.
Why not just let it go?
So it keeps coming up.
But if you let it go, it can come up because it would not be inside of you.
Well, people around you sometimes can bring it up, you know.
They what?
People around you, like, you know, family members, co-workers, you know, people in the gym.
So the people, they make it come up.
Sometimes, yeah.
Do you go off on people?
No.
And when you're angry at a person, how do you deal with them?
I kind of don't talk to them. Just stay away from them.
You just roll your eyes and leave?
No, I just walk away.
Yeah. Amazing.
And I avoid them. I avoid people that I'm upset with.
You avoid them?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Amazing. Hermes, do you believe Jesus had anger? Did I ask you already?
No, I don't believe he had anger.
Why don't you believe it?
because as I'm becoming more aware of what my anger is all about, I see that now it's a spirit. I can clearly see that. So if it's a spirit, how would he have that anger, that spirit, if he's Jesus? It just doesn't make sense.
And why not let yours go then if you believe that?
I think in certain situations, I'm noticing that I kind of want to hang on to it.
You want to hang on?
Yeah, I feel like I'm not quite ready to let it go.
You love it?
Apparently.
And why you love it so much?
I don't know.
You don't know why you love it, but
I enjoy the judging.
You enjoy?
Yeah. Cause I see in one situation, and I'm like, "Whoa, why am I?" And it's like intellectually, I want to let it go, but then I'm like, I don't know. I'm kind of like, there's a love and hate kind of thing with that.
Like, you want to let it go, but you're like, no, I'm not going to let this go. How will I judge?
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I do want to tell you guys, you and ladies, you're missing out on life by having anger. You're making so many mistakes in life. Do you control your anger sometimes?
I try to, but I'm seeing that it just doesn't work.
How do you try to control it?
Just not acting on it. If it's there, I won't act on it. But it's there, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so we can't control it. And sometimes it's there. And I used to think, I can just look at it, it'll go away. But it's not it's a permanent thing that's there that needs to be just like cut out or taken out. It can't just, you know what I mean? Because sometimes it won't be there, and I'm thinking, but I realize that it is a spirit, and I'm seeing more and more that I can't really do anything about it. It's just there.
Well, I understand.
I just have to deal with it.
Okay, two more hands. Jeremiah, you have anger?
No.
You don't have any anger?
No.
And how do you avoid not having it?
I don't know.
You just don't have it. Okay. Have you ever had it?
I used to.
And what'd you do with it?
What do you mean? Like how I got rid of it? Or,
yeah.
I don't know. I talked about like what I was angry about, and saw that like there was no reason to be upset about it.
Yeah.
Because maybe it wasn't my fault or something like that. So, yeah, I just kind of talked about it.
That's good. That's real good. Yes, sir.
Yeah, in the moment, it always seems like the greater wrong is not my reaction, but there's sin against me. And so that's how.
Repeat that. I'm sorry, I was reading something.
In the moment when the wrong has been done to me, it always looks like that wrong is greater than my reaction.
Oh, okay.
My reaction
I
being wrong,
that. Yeah.
but their wrong is greater than my reaction, so I feel justified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, James, you have a question online.
A couple of questions, actually.
Okay.
Well, one of them said, does the Bible say anger is wrong? And then the other question is, why did God give us the capacity to feel anger if we aren't to use it?
I like the second question. God didn't give you the capacity to have anger or to use it. You have it because you're in a fallen state. You have it because you've fallen away from God toward your father, the devil. And it's the devil's nature that is angry and judgmental and jealous and envy and all that. And so in that fallen state, you've taken on the identity of your father. And that's why God said, before you enter into the kingdom of heaven, you must forgive. There's another reality inside of us. And that reality is all love all the time, no matter what's going on. And that reality gives you the ability to overcome anything of the world. You now have the know-how and the natural energy to overcome the world because you've gone back to your Father and you have the power of His love that caused you to overcome everything. And you can't even take it personal because your ego is no longer being affected by it. You're dying from the ego, so the world can't even hurt you at all because you have love. You have the That's why you must be born again. You must return to the Father. And the Father's nature is love all the time. Is love. And I want to say to men, every man that has anger is a woman. You are your mother, and you're no good to women because you had two women fighting. You had two women living together. You have two women sexting together. Every man who has anger is a woman. It's not your natural state of being. Not at all. I'm sorry. Well, I'm not sorry to tell you. But it's not, just think about it. You are a man. What you doing with anger? A man means strength, right? A man sound like that means that I should be strong. Is that right or not?
Not only does the Bible say you should drop anger, but it gives all the different words for anger so that you cannot make a mistake, that you should be without it. Listen, it says in Colossians 3:8, but now ye also put off all these: anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, etc. And then it also says in Ephesians 4:31, let all bitterness, which is anger, wrath, which is anger, and clamor be put away from you with all malice. Yeah. Malice being anger. So it gives all the words for anger.
Yeah. So guys, are you happy knowing that you're really a woman?
Yes.
You taking on your mother's identity? And she took it on because she got it from her mother. And the mother got it because she hated her father when she was young. And I got something I got to read to you in a minute. Let me take the new question over here.
Mine was the response to Jesus being angry. And I'm saying, no, he's not angry because unlike people, he only had the reflection, the ego of his Father, God, who has no anger. And we people have ego, which is not of God, and that makes us angry.
And do you have anger?
Sure.
Do you control your anger?
I don't know what you mean control, as in not yelling at people and that kind of thing.
Do you control your anger?
If that's what it means. Yes, I would say yes, because when I get angry with someone, I don't want to just spill all over them and scream at them, so I just don't say anything. But I mean, you can feel it. You can feel it. Yeah. It's like immediate. You can just feel it.
So let me just clear up some things here, and then I got to read this. First of all, you cannot control anger. Impossible. Because anger is a spirit, and you're not in control of spirits. Of ourselves, we can't control that. We need the power of the light, which is love of God, to control that. But you can't control it. So some people use, well, I had a chance to go off on somebody and I didn't, right? And they call that controlling. That's not controlling. Anger, when you have anger, it shows up inside of you all kinds of ways. You have it in your thoughts. It controls you by where your thoughts. It controls your emotions. When you are angry at someone, that spirit comes to the forefront and they can see that you're angry. It controls you so much. It brings on fear and doubt and worry and insecurity and jealousy. It prevents you from maturing. So you're not controlling anger. So whatever professor or expert told you that, they lied to you. It's a spirit that's made a home in you that came about from resenting someone. Most of the time it's our parents when we were young, but other things can happen too. So you cannot, all angry people are insecure people. They're negative, they are worldly, they are jealous, and angry people are crazy people. So you cannot control anger. It shows. That's why people who want to manipulate you, one of the first things they do is get you angry. Because they know that they have the power over you right then and there. So you don't control anger. Don't let the devil fool you like that. The devil have you thinking things that is not even happening. He have you thinking that your fellow man is doing something or saying something to you, And the fellow man or woman just showing you love, being honest, and the devil saying, oh, blah, 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 blah. It caused you to need the world. So you can't control anger. That makes sense? There's so many ways the devil is tricking everybody because he's a liar. He's a deceiver. In Matthew, what is this? 5, verse 38, it says, an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. But I say this to you, offer no resistance to wicked. Offer no resistance to the wicked. So when the wicked can get you angry, they'll control you. But if you have no anger, you're offering no resistance. They cannot control you. They go nuts. Isn't that deep? Isn't it like something else? I'm telling you. All angry people offer a resistance to the wicked. That spirit in you can't help it. When you don't have anger, you offer nothing to the wicked. But when you use anger as a defense, you're offering a resistance to the wicked. So if a wicked wanted to control you, it'll get you angry. Or it'll make you feel good. Because angry people need to be angry or they need to be feeling good. On the contrary, if anyone hit you on the right cheek, offer him the other cheek. Just turn around and give it to him. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
So what would you do in the situation if someone just like smacked you?
When you don't have anger, that's not going to happen. That only happens to angry people.
But let's say that it could happen because you go to like a ghetto school. You go to Lincoln High School or something. Someone's trying to bully you.
Yeah.
So what do you do in that situation?
One thing about not having anger, you're going to see what to do in that moment. You don't need to plan what I would do. Because if you only angry people plan what they're going to do for the next moment, and then they overreact to a situation where it wasn't necessary to hit back. Because the person hitting you, they say, why are you hitting me back? Well, you're like, you're mean to me, you're hitting me. And we say, oh, I only did it because I like you. You're a good guy. But the anger convinces you that it's negative. But when you don't have the anger in that moment, because when you don't have anger, you live in the presence of God, operating from His mind. And so God is not in the past, He's not in the future. He's right there with you all the time so that you can see what to do in the moment, so that you won't be deceived and do stupid stuff. That makes sense? Angry people don't live in the present. They live with their father in the past, which doesn't exist, or in the future that doesn't exist. You can't live in the presence of God with anger because it's the nature of your father, the devil.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so the devil want you to plan, well, next time I see them and they hit me upside the head, I'm going to floor them. And then the next time you see them, they might not even hit you upside the head, but you're ready to floor them. You know what I'm saying? And angry people, now intellectually angry people know or believe that Christ did not have anger. But that's not going to change you. I did not know that Christ did not have anger until the anger was taken away from me. I did not know you could live a life without anger. I, like everyone else, believed it. I read about it. Everybody around me was angry. And they were preaching from the Bible that Jesus was angry. They always used the money exchanger thing. But so all my life, that's all I heard. And it wasn't until that spirit was taken away from me that I knew that you can live without anger. But I didn't know it. And so you believe it intellectually, but you don't know it for sure. Because if the only way you can really, really know it, you have to be that way. And ain't nothing wrong with believing it intellectually, just don't hold on to that. Let it go in one ear and out the other one. That way God can come in and take it away from you. But you don't know that for sure. And it's an amazing way to live. Amazing way to live. And then when the world come at you, you're just a little surprised how the world is acting. You love the world, but they hate you. Isn't that amazing? Yeah? I'm telling you, you got to let this go. I mean, you don't have to. And especially with the men, the women and children need you to be in your natural state of being. And a natural state for a man is all love all the time. Because whatever you are, you're passing it on to your women and children. And you are sons of the devil. And you're no good to anybody. Because they don't tell it when you might snap. You have heard how it was said, you will love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say this to you, love your enemy and pray for those who persecute you. So when you don't have anger, you're always in prayer for your fellow man. You have no negative thoughts or feeling about other human beings at all. None. Because you can see that they are unhappy living in the way that they are, and it's not them, but it's that spirit that made a home in them, and that spirit controls them. And as children of God, we must be the light of the world. And if you have any anger at all, you're not the light of the world. You're the darkness of the world, all in the name of Jesus. You're not the light, and you are addicted to the world. People, places, and things. So you don't know that until you get over it. So don't hold on to the knowledge that Jesus did not have anger. I'm telling you he didn't, but ask God to take that spirit away from you. He will. You can't take it away, so don't be angry about it. You can't take it away, so don't blame others for it. You can't take it away. Have no opinion about it. Don't call yourself good or bad or anything. Just watch it, and it'll be taken away from you. But as long as you, in that state of anger, you have an opinion about yourself and others, or about your anger, you're never going, because you're judging, you're playing God. You have an opinion. We're not allowed to have an opinion. And it's so easy to overcome anger. It's so simple, it's so easy. Never mind the people who have had it for 20 and 30 and 40 and 50 years. It's easy to overcome. You just have to lose your opinion about it. Don't let the devil make you judge, because he's always trying to make you have a decision, an opinion about something or someone. Resist the opinion, you can be free. It's enough to see that you're no good without having an opinion about being no good. That make sense? No? So here's what I recommend, that you pray. You have to, be still and know God. And don't let the devil make you blame someone else for the way that and don't say stupid stuff. Like, you made me do it. Or, what angry people say. All right, especially if you're grown. And men, you need to become men. Next Sunday, I want you ladies and guys to think about this. Remember when Jesus was on the cross, just at some point he said, Father, why have thou forsaken me? Anybody remember that? You don't remember that, Chief? Yeah, he said that. You remember that, Mark? Do you already know what he meant by that? No. Oh, okay. I want you to smoke on it. Okay. It's going to blow your afro off.
Oh, don't you know that Jesus died to wash your sins away? So please heed his call, and sin don't fall. We're getting closer to the grave each day.
Performing these abortions, nobody died. Well, at least the mother didn't die. The woman didn't die. But it's been reported that whenever she wasn't there and they had some other person to come in to give the anesthesiology. Some of the women died from that whenever this 15-year-old girl was out. But it was interesting that the local media there, or national media, did not report this at all. And there was a trial going on, 30 years of performing abortion, and then some of these babies are born alive, and he would take, as I said, a sharp instrument, stab them in the back of the neck, and kill them. Isn't that amazing? And this is happening all the time, but we're just not hearing anything about it because the media, liberal media, is refusing to report on abortions anymore. If you think about it, you don't hear a lot about abortions anymore in the media, unless a conservative person have gone undercover and found something. But for the most part, you don't hear about abortions. And it's because the liberal media support abortion. Over at least 1 million or more, and I'm being told that abortions are, Dave, you were telling me that it was going down, right?
Yeah, it's gone down to, I think it's below 1 million per year.
In the black community, you say it went down as well?
Yeah.
Even though 70% of Planned Parenthood abortion mills in the inner cities. How do you know it's gone down? Where do you get that from?
It's according to Guttmacher Institute, which isn't either, it isn't really conservative, but it's like something that's one of those organizations that studies it.
Yeah. Anything else I'm leaving out about this Gosnell guy?
Well, the way
you remember?
Just the way that he was caught, he was basically selling OxyContin prescription drugs to people illegally, of course.
And apparently, the man is in prison now, but apparently he doesn't feel anything about it. Didn't they say that?
Right.
He think that he was doing God's job or something. Something like that.
Yeah.
Did you remember that? Did she say something?
I know that for sure that he felt like that he felt no remorse or anything, and he was just a charming guy, all into like what the prison would allow him to do, like get into. He was mad that he wasn't allowed into poetry class,
right?
And he was just doing all kinds of things. Prison is very cushy, apparently, but
he made a lot of money from this. And he has no guilt. Matter of fact, Philem, I believe that's his name, Philem, said that when he went to investigate this man, he and his wife went there to investigate him. The guy was so nice, just a nice black old man. And he asked for Philem's phone number or something. And so he gave him his cell number. And so this Dr. Gosnell, he called up Philem anytime he went, hey, how you doing? Oh, got any more babies you want to abort? But the guy has no guilt about it at all. After 30 years of doing this, killing human beings like that, it's mind-blowing. But I recommend the book, the Gosnell book. And if you don't like reading, then be patient. The movie's coming out. And I hear that it's a great, great movie. One of the best we've seen for a while. So abortions is not good, I'm telling you. We also met the guy that went undercover, and I don't remember his name, but he went undercover to expose Planned Parenthood, who was taking aborted babies and selling the body parts for a profit. A young guy was doing that. Apparently, our government now, under President Trump, is not going to be using our tax dollars to pay for abortions anymore. I think that's one of his executive orders. Yeah. It's about time. The Gosnell, Gosnell movie. I don't know when it's coming out, but keep your eyes and ears open for it. Abortion needs to end. I remember when President Obama became president, the first thing he did in the first month that he was in the White House was to restore abortion in foreign nations, whereas we started back paying for them. President Trump, not President Trump, but President Bill Clinton and George Bush did not pay for abortion in foreign countries.
I think Clinton did.
Clinton did?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
What I read is Reagan instituted this ban, moratorium on paying for abortions overseas, and Clinton reversed it.
Oh, okay.
The Bushes kept it, but the
Okay.
Clinton and Obama reversed it.
So that's what you have with abortions. Anybody here ever had an abortion? Gee, have you ever paid for a woman to have an abortion?
No.
Doesn't G look like he paid for a woman to have an
No
abortion?
way. I had a girlfriend that I was dating for like a year, and then it just came to mind. I was like, hey, have you ever had an abortion? And she said she had 3, and that really changed the whole game for me.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I gotta go.
Yeah. No, it's a horrible thing, but a lot of these women are being lied to by Planned Parenthood and others that it's not a baby. You know, don't mess up your life. You got to get a career. You need to get educated, and it's really not a baby, so it's not a big deal. So they believed into that lie. All right. Any questions? So we did this YouTube video on this week. If Jesus had anger, did Jesus? Well, I say Jesus. What do I say? I asked a good friend, do you believe that Jesus was angry? And this friend, a Christian, home. Are you guys familiar with Gosnell?
Yes, I am.
You are familiar with. Gosnell was an abortion doctor, and he lived in Philadelphia. He's in prison now, but he lived in Philadelphia, and for 30 years, his job was to get up and go to work and kill the unborn child, perform abortions. And some of the babies came out alive. They were babies because some of them were like 9 months or so, about to be born. And he would perform these abortions on these babies. And so when they come out as full babies, they were alive, and he would take a sharp instrument and stab them in the back of their necks and kill them. And for 30 years he did this. He also cut off their feet and put them in jars and saved the feet of the babies. So when the police went in and they saw this stuff, they saw these jars of aborted baby feet. He had a thing with feet. He had a young girl anesthesiologist who would put the ladies to sleep before the abortion, and she was 15 years old, according to the story. And the way and she knew nothing about anesthesiology, right? She hadn't gone to school for it, apparently. But what she would do is she would color code the medication, because some women need some different types of medication than others. And so she learned it by color coding it. This woman needs this, and this woman, so she didn't really. But when she was at the office, during the time that this guy was a grown Christian, they paused for a while. They're like, wow. They didn't know for sure what they thought about it. And so I thought what I would do is ask you guys, how many here are convinced that Jesus did not have anger? You're convinced. Interesting. Right here, why are you convinced that Jesus did not have anger?
Because he always was he taught with kindness. And every time they ask him these quick or trick questions and stuff, he would have the answers for it. And it doesn't come from a state of anger, but the calmness and kindness, the way he would speak to people.
But how about when he turned over the money changers' tables?
It's his assertiveness, but doesn't necessarily mean he was going nuts or he was emotional about it. He just expressed that we're not going to tolerate this at church. And probably showed a little his serious side, how serious he is about it, but it doesn't mean he was going nuts or anything.
Is it possible to be assertive without anger?
Yes.
And why do you believe that?
Well, I think like when you're assertive without anger, your message goes through even stronger.
Right.
Because
Do
when
you have anger?
Huh?
Do you have anger?
I catch it every now and then.
You
myself,
catch it?
I catch myself angry every now and then.
So do you have anger?
Yes.
You do. And you have it, but you believe Jesus did not have it?
Yes.
Do you believe that because someone said it? Or what is causing you to believe that?
When I read the Bible, I never see any side of him that shows he's angry or anything.
But, I got several emails or responses from people on the YouTube that who are disagreeing with me, saying that Jesus did have anger, and they gave us scriptures to prove that.
No, I mean, when you read his words, his teachings and everything, you know how some